Back to Miller. Oh my goodness.
Herbert, sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beef Upfront podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Your host, Ryan Coyle, joined alongside Kevin Cannon for our weekly show, NFL Big Five Games of the Week, a Christmas week edition. So happy holidays to everyone. We have a full slate of games. We got Thursday football, we got Saturday football, we got Sunday football, and we got 3 games on Monday too. So a lot of football to consume over this next week, and we got games on each day on the show. So as always, Kev, welcome back, and how are we?
Great. Yeah, it's a great slate of games this weekend.
So this is as we were saying, Week 16, a lot of playoff implications. Each of these games that we're going to be covering today have major playoff implications. Some of these teams are definitely going to the playoffs. Others are fighting for their lives to get in. So you got a little bit of everything and some big-time games, potentially a Super Bowl preview with the Ravens and 49ers wrapping up the week on Monday night. So should be a fun week ahead, Week 16. Only 2 weeks left in the regular season after this, so make sure to enjoy it all while you can. But we'll start it off on Thursday night this week with 2 7-7 squads. The Saints at 7-7, traveling to LA to play the 7-7 Rams, an 8:15 kickoff on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Rams are a 4.5-point favorite here at home, Kev. Over/under is 44.5. Saints battling for a division spot, but also in the mix for a wild card potentially too. And the Rams can only get in the wild card at this rate of the season. So huge game for both squads. Can the Rams pull it off at home?
Yeah, I'm going Rams winning pretty big, 27, Saints 14. So the Rams covering 4.5, but the under 44.5 hidden. The Rams have been playing good ball as of late, winning 4 of their last 5. And the loss was that high-scoring OT game. Lost to the Ravens. Ravens, as we know, are one of the top teams in the league as a whole. Stafford's been playing really well, too, throwing for 2 TDs in each of the last 4 games. And Kyren Williams has also been playing really well in the backfield. And then, obviously, they still have the duo of Kupp and Nakua. The Saints defense, on the other hand, is playing pretty well and can create turnovers, but the offense is just way too inconsistent for me to pick them here. I'm going to roll with McVay and Stafford over Allen and Carr 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I feel like this cliche gets thrown around a lot, but the Rams really are a team. If they find their way in, nobody's going to want to play them. Nobody wants to see them get in because they have an offense that could go for 30 each and every week on any given Sunday. And as you're touching on, the real emergence of Kyren Williams has been a super welcomed addition to this Rams offense because they're a lot more balanced now. Stafford doesn't have to go out there and throw it 40, 45 times a game. They can run the ball and set up the play action with those great receivers that they have too. So it's a team any given week can go for 30 points. They've scored 28 or more in their last 4 games in each of those, and they're averaging 33 points per game over that span. So when you look at the Saints, on the other hand, they're kind of the polar opposite. I feel like the Rams have been a lot more consistent over the second half of the year since Matthew Stafford came back in the lineup. Saints team are one of the more frustrating teams in the league just because of you never know what team's going to show up for them on any given week. Another team where if you catch them on a good day, they're a team that can go up there and put up 25, 30 points, and they have a strong defense as well where they could give a team some problems if they are that 4 seed in the playoffs. They go into the Superdome to play a game. That's not an easy place to go into in a playoff game. So the Saints are a team where if they get into, I could see them potentially giving a team some trouble, but which Saints team shows up? So that's the reason why I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I think that they've been playing a little bit more consistently, and a loss here from either team doesn't end their season, but a win, I think, gives them a pretty big advantage in terms of finding their way into the playoffs, especially if it comes down to the wild card spot for some head-to-head tiebreakers. So I just think the Rams are a better team at the end of the day. They're at home. I know it's not a big home field advantage there, but still playing in their building instead of going to New Orleans, I think, is a major advantage there. And I just don't think the Saints are going to be able to keep up with their offense in this one. So I'm going to go the Rams win and cover. I'll go 23-17. So Rams minus 4.5 in the under of 44.5. All right, second game of the week. We go to Sunday now, Christmas Eve. The 9-5 Browns, one of the surprise teams of the year for sure with all the injuries that they've gone through. Joe Flacco playing quarterback now. They go to Houston in this one, another one of the major surprise teams. 8-6 found a way to win last week with C.J. Stroud out of the lineup with that concussion. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. Texans are a 2.5-point home favorite here. Over under is 42.5.
Yeah, so I'm going Browns 20, Texans 17. So the Browns winning on the money line there, under 42.5. At the time of this recording, CJ Stroud is still in concussion protocols, but I would be surprised if he doesn't end up playing this weekend. But I do think his absence last week, and he's going to miss some time of practice this week, could still have some effects on him. And I'm just going to go with Joe Flacco and the Browns. The Texans have a completely depleted wide receiver corps due to injury, and it could be Case Keenum again under center, like I said earlier, but I still think it will end up being CJ Stroud. But Flacco seems to have rejuvenated the offense of the Browns, and the defense is still one of the better units in the league, so I think the Browns end up winning a close one here.
Another game where on paper it's not the most entertaining game, but both these teams, I think when you're watching Red Zone, they've been two of the more entertaining teams in terms of overall games that they've played in this year. They've played in some action-packed matchups. Browns are 6-2 in one-score games this year, and the Texans are 6-3 in one-score games. So are these two teams that are able to just navigate close wins and they're getting lucky at the end, or are they just find ways to win? Are they going to get exposed in the playoffs? I think this matchup might tell us a little bit more about them, what kind of caliber team they are, because both these teams looking like most likely wild card squads at the end of the day. Can you really see either of these teams going on the road to one of those division champs and winning a game? I'm not really sure. The Browns team, they're running on magic fumes right now with Flacco, as you were kind of touching on, Kevin. I don't know how sustainable that is. I'm expecting this just to be another close game, and as you were touched on too, I assume Stroud returns from that concussion, but I think the Flacco magic has to run out a little bit eventually. We kind of saw with Tommy DeVito last week where he had a few games, but that his lack of talent is eventually getting exposed. He was undrafted for a reason. Same thing with Joe Flacco. He was on the couch a few weeks ago for a reason. So I'm going to keep it just as simple as that. I think the Texans are a better team right now in terms of health-wise, and they have the better quarterback with C.J. Stroud, and they're at home. I'll take it to be another one-score game, but I'm going to give it to the home team with the better quarterback. I'll go Texans 24, Browns 21. So Texans minus 2.5 in the over of 42.5 hit. Third game of the week, matchup between two division leaders, but two teams that could be out of the division lead by the end of the week. You have the 8-6 Jags at the 7-7 Bucks, a 4:05 kick on CBS. Jags are a 1-point road favorite here. Over under is 43.5.
Yeah, I'm going Jags winning another close game here. Jags 24, Bucks 21. Jags covering the 1 in the over 43.5. Things are falling apart in Jacksonville, losing their last 3. It can be attributed to a bunch of different things. Trevor Lawrence obviously being injured last week in concussion protocol and still is right now. And then obviously the ankle injury. And they also were facing pretty good teams, the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens, 3 very good teams. But the Bucs come into this week winning their last 3, but they were against the Panthers, Falcons, and Packers. Not very good teams. And both teams need this to stay in first place in their respective divisions. I think, like I said earlier, Trevor Lawrence is in concussion protocol, and I'm making my pick based on him playing this week, because if he doesn't end up playing, it's going to be CJ Beathard, and I just don't think that's going to go well. And I think the Bucs would win then. But the Bucs haven't not shown the ability to beat very good teams, and their passing defense is one of the worst in the league. So if Trevor ends up playing, I think he'll be able to make enough plays to outduel Baker here.
Yeah, that's my main point with this one as well, Kev. I'm going to go with the Jags here too, but certainly not betting it right now, keeping an eye on Trevor Lawrence as he navigates his concussion protocol. We'll see what goes on with that. But the Bucs have been playing really well as of late. I know you said they haven't really beat many good teams, but they're averaging 31.5 points per game over their last 2. They're showing the ability to be explosive, and Rashad White's doing damage on the ground and in the passing game too. So another team with offensive weapons, if they get a matchup in a playoff game against a team with a bad secondary, potentially like the Eagles, like I know the Eagles already went down there and beat them once, but this is a Bucs team where on a good day, they can go and throw the ball for 300 yards. Those receivers, Godwin and Evans, can have a day. Baker keeps care of the ball. I could see him winning a playoff game, but the Bucs are a huge if team. I said if probably 5 or 6 times in that little scenario there. So they need a lot of things to go right on any given day to win a game. But at the same time, you got them on a good day, they can go out there and compete with the best of the teams, I think. So a major if team going forward. It's going to be interesting to see if they are able to win that division in the NFC South, or maybe even get one of those last wild card spots. And the Jags, watched that whole game on Sunday night against the Ravens, didn't look very impressive. They seem to be missing Christian Kirk. The passing game is struggling a little bit right now, but this is a Jags line, -1 on the road. I think that's saying too that Lawrence is going to play most likely. I think the Bucs would have been favored if not. But it's just a spot for the Jags where there's a lot of pressure on them. They have to answer the bell. Texans and Colts at 8-6 too. And I think Baker has shown us over the years where he gets people like me to buy in and say, oh, if they make the playoffs, they might be a tough out. They might be able to go throw the ball around the yard on a team and upset them in a playoff game. But then he'll roll out and kind of like the Cowboys did last week, kind of shit the bed at when it matters most. So I'm going to say Baker has one of those poor games, struggles a little bit, and the Jags find a way to right the ship a little bit and go to Tampa Bay and get a win here. I'll go 26-23 Jags if Lawrence plays, and I'll go Jags -1 over 43.5. All right, final game on Sunday now, and then we have one on Monday for Christmas Day. The 10-4 Cowboys travel to the 10-4 Miami Dolphins, a 4:25 kickoff on Fox. Dolphins are a 1.5 point favorite here at home. Over under is 51.5.
Yeah, I'm going Dolphins 28, Cowboys 21. So Dolphins -1.5, under 51.5. I'm just going to keep picking against the Cowboys on the road until proven otherwise. This game has huge playoff seeding implications for both teams, as the Dolphins still have an outside chance at that first round bye in the AFC, and the Cowboys can still obviously win the NFC East. These are the two highest scoring offenses in the league, each averaging over 30 a game, and Tyreek Hill should be back. And I think Mike McDaniel will be able to design up a good game plan and take advantage of the super aggressive Cowboys defense. The Dolphins defense is also playing a lot better since Jalen Ramsey returned to the lineup a couple of weeks ago. Once again, this, like last week, this might be wishful thinking picking against Dallas, but it worked last week against Buffalo. So I'm just going to go with it again here.
Yeah, I think this is the best game on Sunday. Certainly the Monday game is great, but I think this one could be the most entertaining game of the weekend, and it's very important for both squads. You kind of were touching on it, but Cowboys keep their division hopes alive with a win, and a loss by the Dolphins combined with a Bills win on Saturday night against the Chargers adds some real intrigue to that division race, because those two teams still have to play as well. Dolphins win here, they have to feel pretty good, I think, about the division. And with the Cowboys loss, it's going to be hard to see them winning the East unless the Eagles find a way to go 0-3 over the last three, which is plausible, but I think also still unlikely with 2 against the Giants and 1 against the Cardinals. So I think this one has the most meaning, even more than the Niners and Ravens. Niners look like 95% chance of getting the 1 seed. Ravens, I think, are in a pretty good spot as well, but still a couple challenging games ahead. So with all the meaning in this one, I think we're going to see two teams really battling out, give it their all. Two of the best offenses in the NFL. I'm expecting a lot of points. Dolphins lead the NFL with 31.5 points per game, and Cowboys right there behind them at 30.8 at second. So two teams that can really light it up, but the Cowboys, as we've seen, have really been a different team on the road. So that's going to be something to watch. The Bills gave that blueprint kind of on how to beat the Cowboys, running for over 200 yards, and they have two really good backs in A-Chain and Mostert. Can they do the same? I think they should be able to, but I'm going to take the Cowboys, oddly enough, to bounce back here. This is a game where I think last week you lost some serious pride with that Buffalo game. Everyone's writing you off now. The Cowboys really have something to go out there and prove this weekend, and a lot to play for still. So I think they go out there, make a statement, and only 1.5 point road favorites for Miami in this one. I think that's a Dallas line. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this at one outright, 31-27. So I'm going to go Cowboys plus 1.5 in the over of 51.5. All right, final game, arguably one of, if not the best game potentially on the NFL calendar this year, or at least for the rest of the regular season. Should be an awesome one to wrap up Christmas night on Monday. The 11-3 Ravens at the 11-3 49ers, an 8:15 kickoff on the ABC. Niners are a 5.5 point favorite, over under 45.5. Kev, before you give your pick on this game, give me your percentage chance that this is the Super Bowl preview.
Probably at least 50.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's Super Bowl preview, but this wouldn't end up being a great Super Bowl because I think the 49ers win this one pretty handedly. 49ers 31, Ravens 21, the 49ers covering the 5.5, and the over at 45.5 hidden. Probably the two best teams in football, and the Niners are still 5.5 point favorites. I think that's fair here. That's how good they've looked. Brock has just been excellent, and if he isn't the MVP of the league, it's probably his running back, Christian McCaffrey. And then you still have to worry about Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Trent Williams, the offensive line, everyone on the offensive side of the ball. The key for the Ravens to win in this game, though, will be them running the ball. They're leading the league with nearly 170 yards a game on the ground. And when they hit the 130-yard mark on the ground, the Ravens are 9-1. But when they fail to do so, get that 130 yards, they're 1-2. But however, on the flip side, the Niners are good at stopping the run. They're only allowing 89 yards a game, which is good for third in the league right now. And the Niners, when they allow under 130 rushing yards, they are 9-1, and when they give up more than 130, they're 1-2. So that's the magic number in this game: 130 rushing yards. The Ravens lost running back Keaton Mitchell to an ACL last week, and he was starting to establish himself as the lead back down there in Baltimore. So I think the Niners hold the Ravens to under 130 rushing yards and win pretty handedly.
Yeah, I think I agree with you too. The 5.5 is a pretty fair number. I think if this was the Super Bowl, like a neutral site, it would probably be like a 3. But with a big time win in this one, that might even jump up to like a touchdown by the time the Super Bowl comes around. If these two teams do eventually match up. The stat that Lamar is 19-1 though against the NFC makes me a little hesitant to take the 49ers here. Like that's just such overwhelming numbers, and I know none of those teams have been this Niners squad, but still, that's a really impressive thing. And I think you touched on it earlier in the year where he just doesn't really play against those teams very often, so they're not used to seeing him, and he's certainly a player that you don't really see often or account for. I mean, if you play a Jalen Hurts or a Justin Fields, that's still not a Lamar Jackson type of athlete in the running game, and with the way he's been able to throw the ball this year, makes it super hard to prepare for. So I'm intrigued to see how this 49ers defense has a game plan to stop Lamar in this offense. 49ers are rolling, though, and it's a position where it's just stupid to bet against them right now. When healthy, that team is going to be hard to stop, and I think you have to give Purdy his flowers. He's dominating right now. You can say all you want about him throwing to a bunch of all-stars out there, but someone has to go out there and do it, and he's doing it, and he's doing it at a really high level. The quarterback of the best team in the league. He should be the MVP, I think, and those minus 200 odds reflect that right now. I do think Baltimore is the best team in the AFC as well. Not really reinventing the wheel with that statement, with both these teams being the 1 seed, but getting that 1 seed is vitally important. So you can say all you want about, oh, these teams are winning the division, blah, 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 but these teams are playing for that 1 seed and that chance to have home field throughout the playoffs. So a lot of meaning going into this game, a Super Bowl rematch from back in the day, about 2012, I think that was, but this is the most balanced Baltimore team I've seen with Lamar. And I think that they have the capability of making that run out of the AFC and going to the Super Bowl. But I just don't think in this one on the road against a 49ers team that, unless they have a major injury, it's going to be hard to see them getting stopped anytime soon. So I'm going to go 49ers 27, Ravens 20, 49ers minus 5.5, and I will take the over 45.5. All right, last two segments, the dog of the day and the lock of the week. The dog of the day being our underdog on the money line, outright winner. I'll go first here. I'm going to go with the Falcons this week. +1, minus 105. Don't really know why I'm taking this one. I don't love a lot of the underdogs on the board this week, but Falcons at home here against the Colts. I think the Colts are due for a clunker as well. Gardner Minshew is kind of like Baker in that regard where, all right, he'll look good for 3 games in a row, but then here comes that 4th game. People are finally starting to buy in, and he shits the bed a little bit. So going on the road, too, in the NFL is never easy. The Colts have been much better at home this year. So I think Heineke as well for the Falcons gives them some life and potentially a team that's still there in the playoff mix. But I like the Falcons to get this win at home here. Arthur Smith, I think, is coaching for his job, too. So he's a little bit desperate right now with the change there at quarterback. So I'll go Falcons +1 and minus 105.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't love many of the underdogs this week on the board, so I'm going to double dip here, go with one I already talked about. Browns +120 on the money line, +2.5 against the Texans. I think Flacco wins another game here.
And then our lock of the week, I'm going to go with Cowboys Dolphins over 51.5. Two of the best offenses in the league. You might be able to argue now that the 49ers are the best offense in the league, but these are the two highest scoring offenses in the NFL. I think we see a shootout in this one. I had it at 31-27 was my prediction. I could see it even be one of those games where neither defense is really getting any stops, and we see it like 42-38 or something. I think this is going to be a super fun game on Christmas Eve and a great one. So I'm going to go with the over there. I think it's a shootout back and forth.
My lock of the week, I'm going Packers -4.5 against the Panthers. Still don't believe in the Panthers, even if after their win last week. The Packers have shown the ability to win big games this year, and I think they do it here. Not that this is a big game, but.
All right, well, that will do it for NFL Big 5 games of the week, the Week 16 edition. Only 2 more regular season weeks, and then we got the playoffs coming up. And as us Eagles fans, we're starting to see it. It might not be a very long postseason for us, so we'll be dived into a lot of different NFL coverage other than the Eagles coming up. But as always, thank you, everyone, for listening. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy Christmas. And please stay safe out there, everyone. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and we will talk next week.